Okay, so today we are going to discuss the past paper question with related to investment in associate, right? So I have picked the 2019 one, the latest one, right? 2019 question number, I think 4. Yes, question number 4. So this was the sum where it has tested your knowledge on investment in associate, right? In the last year. For how many marks? For 20 marks. Right. First, shall we read this out? Right. So they have given us some information, right? Probably the information with related to the acquisition information, right? So they have given us the information on that. And we have given the balance sheet of 3 companies called Tom, Jerry, and Garfield PLC. And we have given some additional information. 7 additional informations we have given, and what we need to do, we need to prepare the consolidated statement of financial position of Tom PLC group as at 31st March 2019. Right. So let's begin from here. What it says: Tom, a public limited company, operates in manufacturing industry. On 31st March 2017, Tom PLC has acquired 25% of Jerry PLC. On 31st March 2017, Tom has acquired 25% of Jerry PLC. Right? And then it says what? On 31st March 2018, Tom PLC also has acquired 30% of the equity interest of Garfield PLC. එහෙනම් Cherry PLC ලගේ 125ක් ගන්නවා. Garfield PLC ලගේ 100 කීයක්ද? 130ක් acquire කරගන්නවා on 2 different dates of Garfield PLC, and Tom PLC has significant influence over these 2 entities. Right? Still, මේ information ටික කියුවට තාම අපිට idea එකක් නැහැ මොකක්ද? මේ Jerry PLC එකයි Garfield PLC එකයි Tom කියන right parent මෙයාලා associate එකක්ද එහෙම නැත්නම් joint venture එකක්ද කියලා. එයාව decide කරගන්න ඕන information එක දෙන්නේ කොතනද? Right, here it has given Tom PLC has significant influence over these 2 entities. මේ company දෙකටම මෙයාට significantly influence කරන්න පුළුවන්. Tom PLC can significantly influence on Jerry PLC. And also Tom PLC can significantly influence on Garfield PLC. Therefore, these are what? Jerry PLC and Garfield PLC are what for Tom PLC? මෙයාලා කවුද මෙයාට? These are associates, right? Jerry PLC කියලා කියන්නේ Tom PLC ට associate එකක්. Garfield PLC කියලා කියන්නේ Tom PLC එකට associate එකක්. Both these companies are associates. Right? So that is the first thing we need to decide when it comes to these sort of sums. එතකොට ඔය දීලා තියෙන companies අපිට කවුද? මෙයා associate එකක්ද? මෙයා joint venture එකක්ද? Right? Companies දෙකක් දීලා තියෙනවා, මේ දෙකම joint venturesද? නැත්නම් මේ දෙකම associatesද? That one we need to decide. Right. The drafted statement of financial position of Tom, Jerry, and Garfield are as follows as at 31st March 2019. Right. So they have given this information. What we need to prepare? We need to prepare the consolidated statement of financial position. Right. Consolidated statement of financial position. Tom PLC Group consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st March 2019. We are considering rupees in million. So I have taken these figures, right, from here. right? See here, PPE. When it comes to investment in associate, do we need to do line by line addition? When we prepare in consolidated financial statements, line by line addition අපි කරනවද නැද්ද? Investment in associates වල? Yes or no? Mute කරන්න. Right? Line by line addition එක කරනවද නැද්ද? When it comes to investment in associates? Yes, investment in subsidiaries, yes. We do line by line addition. අපේ asset value එක මෙච්චරයි, subsidiary එකේ asset value එක මෙච්චරයි. ඔය දෙක එකතු කරලා මෙන්න consolidated figure එක. Right? Like that way we do when we have subsidiaries, right? But when we are having, yes, right? But when we are having associates, right, we do not do any line by line addition. Therefore, here we need to consider only the parent value. So I have here 3 columns. Hope you can see. The first column, I'm going to have the parent company figures. මේ පළවෙනි column එකේ මම parent company එකේ figure එක කීයද කියලා දාගන්නවා. Second column, I have allocated for the adjustments. If I need to do any adjustments for these figures, I will do within this space, right? In the second column. And in the third column, I will have my final figures. That is how I have arranged this worksheet. First column, I will have the parent company figures. In the second column, I am going to have the adjustments. And in the third column or the last column, we will have our final figures. Okay. Right. So property, plant and equipment. What is the parent company figure? Property, plant and equipment here. Property, plant and equipment, Tom PLC is the parent, right? This is the parent, so these are associates. What is the parent company figure? It is 15,000, right? 15,000. Investment in Jerry and investment in Garfield PLC. මෙයාලගේ invest කරපු ගණන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ කියන 25% acquire කරගන්න, මෙන්න මේ කියන 30% acquire කරගන්න අපි කීයක් ගෙවුවද? ඒ figures තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. So I will consider it separately. For the moment, I am not going to consider it here. But if we have invested in associate, what we should have in our balance sheet? Investment in associate figures we need to present. Jerry PLC and Garfield PLC. Right? Jerry PLC and Garfield PLC. Mama make my parent company figure 7,500 and 2,500. I am not going to take it here. These figures I am going to have through a separate working. අපි දන්නවනේ investment in associate එකේ T account එක ගහලා entries pass කරන්න. ඒ විදිහට entries pass කරලා working එකකින් අපි final figures come. Right? For the moment, I am not going to consider the parent company figures here. Right. Other assets, we have inventory. The parent company figure is 2,000. Inventory, parent company figure is 2,000. Trade receivables, 1,800. Dividend receivable, parent company, 1,250. Cash and cash equivalent, parent company, 1,200. Right? Stated capital, 15,000. Retained earnings, 6,250. Revaluation reserve, 1,850. General reserve, 650. We have bank loan, 2,500. Only the parent company figure. Trade payable, 2,750. Dividend payable 1,250. Other payable 1,000. Hope it is clear. Here we have considered only the parent company figure, right? Assets, liabilities, and equity as well. We have considered the parent company figure. Right. So we will map this information. Information tika map karang imu. Then we will understand the big picture well, right? On 31st March 2017, Tom PLC has acquired 25% of Jerry PLC. Right. On 31st March 2017, Tom PLC has acquired 25% of Jerry PLC. Right. And by now, we know the investment value. Right? We know what is the investment value. To acquire this 25% of Jerry PLC, what is the cost incurred by Tom? මේ 125 acquire කරගන්න මෙයා කීයක investment එකක් කරලා තියෙනවද? What is the investment value? Investment in Jerry PLC කීයද? They have invested 7,500, right? They have invested 7,500. And what else we should know? With regard to this acquisition, what else we should know? අපි මොනවද දැනගන්න ඕන මෙතනදී? කවුද කාවද acquire කරන්නේ? කොච්චර percentage එකක් acquire කරනවද? ඒ percentage එක acquire කරන්න investment එක කීයක් දරනවද? What else? One thing is missing. With related to this acquisition, we need to determine what? Whether it has generated a goodwill or a gain on bargain purchase. Now, goodwill or gain on bargain purchase හොයාගන්න නම් what is the other information we should have? මෙතන ලොකු එක්කෙනෙක් මිස් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද මිස් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? As at the acquisition date, what about the net assets of the acquiring, right? Acquire කරගන්න date එකට as at the acquisition date, the net assets of Jerry PLC we should know. Acquire කරගන්න දවසට මෙයාගේ balance sheet එකේ net assets මොන මොන ගණන් වලින්ද තිබ්බේ. Based on that, we are determining whether we have generated a goodwill or a gain on bargain purchase. Therefore, that particular information we should find, right? Okay. So here, from this sentence, this is what we can map, right? After the information making, අපිට map කරගන්න පුළුවන් මෙන්න මේ ටික. Tom has acquired 25% of Cherry on 31st March 2017. Right. Then on 31st March 2018, exactly a year after, Tom PLC also has acquired 30% of equity interest of Garfield PLC. On 31st March 2018, හරියටම අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ what has happened? Tom PLC has also acquired 30% of the equity interest of Garfield PLC. Right. Here, this is my time bar on 31st March 2018. Tom PLC has acquired 30% of Garfield PLC. What is the investment value? What is the investment value? Investment in Garfield PLC 2,500, right? 2,500. Here also we should know the net assets of Garfield PLC as at the acquisition date. එනම් මෙයාගෙත් මෙන්න මෙදා වෙද්දී on 31st March 2018 we should know the net asset value. Okay, right. So both these are what we have the significant influence over these two companies. මෙයාටත් අපිට significantly influence කරන්න පුළුවන්. මෙයාටත් significantly influence කරන්න පුළුවන්. Therefore, J is an associate for us and G is also an associate for us. Both these two companies are associates, right? If these two are associates, what we should have? මේ දෙන්නම associates නම් balance sheet එකේ මොකක් තියෙන්න ඕනද? Investment in associate amount එක අපි පෙන්වන්න ඕන, right? What is the carrying amount of this investment? We should present that in our consolidated statement of financial position. Investment in associate. This is Jerry PLC. Here, investment in associate. This is Garfield PLC. Right. Here, what are the figures we can take? First, the investment at cost. We can debit this account, right? We can debit this account. Investment at cost. Investment at cost. 7,500. Here, investment at cost 2,500. Right? Investment at cost. Then there are consolidated financial statement financial position. This one we have credited and debited to the investment in associate account. My double entry are the Gotamea Medidas Pansi from PLC debit Netian, but the Meata Karan. Mea credit kara investment in associate account debit. Right. So investment at cost 2,500. Okay. Now we can move to the additional information. So far what we have done, right? First, we have set this up, set our consolidated statement of financial position, and we have considered the figures of the parent company. Parent company ki figures tika api consider karla thiye. And then we have mapped the acquisition information. Who has acquired whom and at which percentage, on which date that acquisition happened, and what was the investment value. Further, we need to determine what was the net assets as at the acquisition date, right? The acquisition information map kara, and we have ruled the consolidated statement of financial position. Now we can move to additional information. Right. Additional information number 1. As at 31st March 2017, Jerry PLC's retained earnings stood at 1,250. On the same date, revaluation reserve and general reserve of Jerry PLC stood at 400 and 800 rupees respectively. These are in millions, right? Okay, so they have given us these informations. As at the acquisition date, what are the net assets of Jerry PLC? Net assets ganne kohomada? What do you mean by net assets? Assets minus liabilities equals to what? Net assets. Simply what? The equity component. Balance sheet එක අපි ගාව තියෙන equity component වල එකතුවටනේ අපි net assets කියන්නේ. අපිට දීපු balance sheet එකේ මොනවද equity components තියෙන්නේ? What are the equity components we are having? These are our equity components, right? We have stated capital, we have retained earnings, we have revaluation reserve, and we have general reserve, right? We have stated capital, retained earnings, what else? Revaluation reserve, and general reserve. Here also, we should know as at the acquisition date, what was the stated capital amount? What was the retained earning amount? What about revaluation reserve value and the general reserve value? Right. So what they have given us? As at 31st March 2017, it means as at the acquisition date, right? This is the acquisition date. Now, acquisition date එකට තමයි මෙන්න මේ figures ටික අපිට ඕන. Jerry PLC's retained earnings stood at 1,250. මෙයාලගේ retained earnings තිබ්බලු 1,250. As at the acquisition date, Jerry PLC's retained earning amount was 1,250, right? And on the same date, revaluation reserve and general reserve of Jerry PLC stood at 400 and 800 rupees respectively. Revaluation reserve acquire කරගන්න දවසේදී කීයක් තිබිලා තියෙනවද? 400, right? 400. What about general reserves? 800. 800. කවුද අඩු අපිට? Stated capital එක විතරයි අඩු, right? Stated capital එක additional information වල stated capital වලට අදාළ මුකුත් වෙන විස්තරයක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ about a new share or issue or something else. So we need to assume what? Jerry PLC stated capital is 13,750. We assume that this was there as at the acquisition date as well. අපි acquire කරගනිද්දිත් ඔය stated capital එකම තිබ්බ කියලා අපිට assume කරන්න වෙනවා. Right? So now we know as at the acquisition date, what was the stated capital amount, what was the retained earnings amount, what is the revaluation reserve account, right? Reserve amount and the amount in the general reserve. So as at the acquisition date, what was the total net assets? Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ total net assets කීයක් තිබ්බද? 13,750 plus 1,250 plus 400 plus 800, 16,200. 16,200. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ වෙද්දි මෙන්න මෙච්චරක net assets තිබ්බා. මේ net assets වලින් කීයක percentage එකක්ද අපි acquire කරේ? Out of this 16,200, we acquired what? 25%. Equals to what? Equals to what? 16,200 within 25%. 4,050. Now, Now there is a difference. To acquire this much of net assets worth of 4050 අපි මේ 16200ම acquire කරගන්නේ නැහැනේ. අපි මේකෙන් 125ක් විතරයි acquire කරගන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ 4050ක net assets විතරයි අපි acquire කරගන්නේ. To acquire this 4050 worth of net assets we have paid how much? මේ 4050ක net assets acquire කරගන්න අපි කීයක් ගෙවනවද? 7500. It means there is a difference of how much? කීයක වෙනසක් තියෙනවද? 3450ක වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. Right? There is a difference of 3000. Yes, 3450. So this is, I have already received the answer. This is what? මෙයා එක්ක goodwill වෙන්න පුළුවන්, එහෙමත් නැත්නම් මෙයා gain on bargain purchase එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය දෙකෙන් මේ කවුද? එයාලගේ net assets වලට වඩා වැඩිපුර අපි investment cost එකක් දාලා නම් ඒ දාලා තියෙන්නේ මොකක් වෙනුවෙන්ද? The additional amount is for what? For the goodwill. Right? In some years you have asked to calculate this value. The මෙයා consolidated financial position එකට එන්නේ නැහැ. Consolidated balance sheet එකට එන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි සමහර අවුරුදු වල අහලා තිබ්බ මොකද්ද? මේ acquisition එක නිසා generate වෙච්ච goodwill value එක වෙනම calculate කරලා පෙන්නන්න කියලා. Right? This is how we can do that. How to calculate the goodwill or the gain on bargain purchase generated as a result of the acquisition. So what can we do with this 3450? Are we going to take this into account? Into our balance sheet? මෙයා අපි balance sheet එකට අරන් යනවද? අපි මේ consolidated statement of financial position එකේ goodwill කියලා මෙයාව පොත් වලට අරන් එනවද? Yes or no? If there is a goodwill, we are not going to do anything, especially in investment in associates. Investment in joint ventures, well, yes, goodwill we need to consider, but when it comes to investment in associate, no, we are not going to take it into our books of account. Why? This amount has been already embedded here. මේ 7500 ඇතුලේ මේ 3450 තියෙනවා. ආය අමුතුවෙන් goodwill කියලා වෙනම මෙයාව පෙන්වන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. Right. Okay. So we are not going to pass any double entry with regard to this 3450 worth of goodwill. Okay. So we have treated the additional information number 1, and we have found that there is a goodwill, not a gain on bargain purchase. Therefore, we do not need to do anything further. Additional information number 2. Balance of equity components of Garfield PLC as at 31st March 2018. Garfield PLC එක අපි acquire කරගන්නේ මෙදා. එහෙනම් එදාට එයාගේ equity components කොහොමද තිබ්බේ? Right? We have given the figures. Stated capital 8,000. Stated capital 8,000. Retained earnings as at the acquisition date there was 750. Revaluation reserve 250. And general reserve 500. Right. So what is the total net assets value? 9,500. Yes, 9,500. Again, when Tom PLC acquiring Garfield PLC on this date, their net asset, their total net asset amount was 9,500. and we are going to acquire 30% of it, or we have already acquired 30% of it. Means how much? In අවදාස් 500න් තමයි 130ක් අපි acquire කරගන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ කීයක්ද? 2850. 2850. Now again we have a difference here. Difference of කීයක වෙනසක් තියෙනවද? 150. 150ක වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. This time our investment value is lower than this amount. The amount එකට වඩා දැන් අපේ investment value එක අඩුයි. So this is what then? So this is not a goodwill. Therefore this is what? This is gain on bargain purchase. In short form, I have written as GBP, gain on bargain purchase, 150. Unlike goodwill, if we have a gain on bargain purchase, we need to pass the double entry. Sorry, it is 350, yeah? 350. Okay, 350 worth of gain on bargain purchase. For this amount, we need to pass the double entry. Why? මේ අරන් තියෙන 2500 ඇතුලේ මේ 350 මොකක්ද? මේ 350 නෑ. එයා එනං අපිට වෙනම account කරන්න වෙනවා. So how can we pass the double entry with respect to this 350 worth of gain on bargain purchase? මෙයාගේ double entry කොහොමද යන්නේ? කොහොමද යන්නේ? What is the double entry we need to pass? Investment in associate account debit, right? Investment in associate account debit. Where to credit? Retained earnings account credit. This is gain on bargain purchase. Investment in associate account debit. On a debit kara, where to credit? කොහාටද credit කරන්නේ? Retained earnings account credit. Credit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මම මෙයාට එකතු කරන්න ඕනද මෙයාගෙන් අඩු කරන්න ඕනද? Debit entry හරිනේ. ඔන්න debit කරා. Investment in associate account debit. Now I want to credit it to retained earnings. Therefore, do I need to add the amount here or do I need to deduct? එකතු කරන්නද ඕන අඩු කරන්නද? Credit කරන්න නම් retained earnings නැත්නම් equity කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Credit balances. එහෙනම් යාට 350ක් එකතු වෙන්න ඕන. This is the gain on bargain purchase. So all the adjustments I will do in this column. Adjustments කරන්න තමයි මම මේ column එක තියාගත්තේ. ඔන්න අපි පළවෙනි adjustment එකක් ආවා. Balance sheet එකට hit වෙනවා. 350. Yes, correct. Okay. So we have treated the second information as well. Additional information number 2. Okay. Right. So we have found there was a gain on bargain purchase generated as a result of this acquisition, and we have accounted for that. That is point number 2. Point number 3. Jerry PLC has proposed a final dividend of 1,000 for the financial year 2018-19. Jerry PLC has proposed a final dividend of 1,000 for the financial year 2018-19. Jerry PLC 1000ක dividend declare කරලා තියෙනවා. Right? They have declared a dividend worth of 1,000. Right. ඔය 1,000 වලින් අපේ කීයක්ද? This 1,000 maybe they are in their financial statements. Yes, here dividend payable 1,000 කියලා කියන්නේ මෙයාලා dividend declare කරපු amount එක. ඔය 1,000 ම අපිට අපේ එකේ account කරගන්න බෑ. අපි acquire කරන් තියෙන කීයක් විතරද? We have acquired only 25%, right? 25%. එහෙනම් 1000න් 125ක් විතරයි. 1000න් 125ක් කියලා කියන්නේ කීයද? 250. How can we account for that 250? ඒ 250ට අපි account කරන්නේ කොහොමද? Yes, 250, correct. How can we account for that 250? How can we account for that 250? කොහොමද? මොකක්ද හර වෙන්නේ? මොකක්ද බැර වෙන්නේ? 250 dividend. Yes. Dividend payable එකක්ද? Right? We are Tom PLC group. දැන් අපි Tom PLC group. We are the Tom. අපි තමයි Tom කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒතකොට අපේ පැත්තෙන් ඕක මොකද්ද? Jerry PLC ලට තමයි payable එකක් වෙන්නේ. අපේ පැත්තෙන් මොකද්ද? ඒකෙන් අපිට 250ක් මොකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? ලැබෙන්න ඕන. So how should be the double entry then? Investment in associate account debit 250, right? Investment in associate account debit. Dividend receivable account. Right? Dividend receivable account. हमें receivable के लिए investment in associate account debit on a debit करा credit in sorry dividend receivable account debit. Dividend receivable account debit. You are correct. Dividend receivable account debit. This is dividend from Jerry. Dividend receivable. Right? Dividend receivable account debit. Debit nisa tamai ekatu kare. Where to credit? Investment in associate account. Dividend receivable. Investment in associate account. Credit 250. You are correct. Yes. Investment in associate account credit, dividend receivable account debit, right? Not 1000, but the percentage we have acquired. 1000 into 25% means 250. That is point number 3. Then point number 4. What it says. During the year ended 31st March 2019, Garfield PLC made a profit of 700 and declared a dividend of 200. Garfield PLC has correctly accounted for the declared dividend through Tom dividend, though Tom PLC has not accounted for it yet. Right? During the year ended 31st March 2019. Garfield ne අපි 31st March 2019 වලට හදන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයා acquire කරගත්ත දවස් ඉඳන් හරියටම අවුරුද්දක් ගියාට පස්සේ. Profit හොයලා තියෙනවා 700ක්. They have made a profit of 700 and declared a dividend of 200. මේ මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? Garfield has correctly accounted for the declared dividend, though Tom PLC has not accounted for it yet. අපි ඔය dividend receivable එක තාම account කරගෙන නැහැ. So we need to account for it. Right. So what about this 700? What about this 700? What about this 700? This is the post acquisition profit. අපි acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ profit එක. acquire කරගන්න මෙදානේ. මෙදාවෙත් retained earnings මෙච්චර තිබ්බා. ඒ අවුරුද්දේ එයාලා හොයාගත්තු profit එක. නැත්තම් මේ මොකද්ද? අපිට තේරෙන වචනේ කිව්වොත් මොකද්ද මේ 700 කියලා කියන්නේ? Profit share එක. Right? Sorry, not the profit share. This is the profit they have earned by using this 700. What we need to calculate? We need to calculate the profit share. ඔය 700 කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ associate එක හොයපු profit එකනේ. එතකොට ඔය 700ම අපිට ගෙනල්ලා account කරගන්න බෑ. අපිට පුළුවන් ඕකේ මොන percentage එක විතරද? This is the profit made by Garfield PLC. 700. Out of this 700, what is the amount belonging to us? What is our share of profit? Yes, 30%. 30% into 700. කීයද? 210. 210 තමයි අපේ මොකක්ද? Profit share එක. එතකොට profit share එක කොහොමද accounts තියන්නේ? Profit share is 210. So how can we account for that? What is the double entry? Profit share එක කොහොමද කරන්නේ? Investment in associate account. Investment in associate account debit. Investment in associate account debit. Where to credit? Retained earnings credit. Here we have our retained earning account. Credit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ එකතු කරනවා 210. This is profit share of Garfield. Right? Profit share of Garfield. Yes, correct. එතකොට profit share එක මොකක්ද කරේ? They have earned a profit of 700. Out of this 30% is belonging to us, that is 210. That value we have debited to our investment in associate account and credited to the retained earnings account, profit share. And they have declared a dividend of 200. This is the total amount of dividend they have declared, 200. May 200 වලින් අපිට කීයක් අයිතිද? Out of this 200, how much belonging to us? 30% of it. It means 60. How can we account for that 60? අපි කොහොමද accounts කරන්නේ? What is the double entry we need to pass? Dividend receivable account debit 60. This is the dividend we supposed to receive by Garfield PLC. On a dividend receivable account එක debit කරා 60 අපේ portion එක. Where to credit? Dividend receivable account debit, investment in associate account credit. Investment in associate account credit 60. Right? Dividend declared by Garfield PLC. Our portion, dividend receivable account debit, investment in associate account credit. Not retained earnings. Huh? So we are taking it to our investment in associate account. Okay. That is point number 4. Associate එකේ post acquisition profit එකයි dividend declaration එකයි අපි accounts තියුවා. Then point number 5. During the year, Jerry sold goods to Tom amounting to 3,000, and 40% of these goods were with Tom PLC at the year end. at the year end. Jerry sets the selling price at a markup of 25% on cost. Intercompany sales, right? They have given us some details regarding the intercompany sales. Who has sold to whom? Jerry sold goods to Tom. Right? I will have it here. Jerry has sold goods to Tom. 3,000. 3,000 sale එකක් කරලා. 40% of these goods were with Tom at the year end. අන්න එතෙන්දි තමයි මොකක් වෙන්නේද? Unrealized profit එකක් generate වෙන්නේ. මේ විකුණපු 3,000ම මෙයාගේ inventory එකේ නැත්තම්. ඒ කියන්නේ නැති වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? මෙයාත් එළියට විකුණන නම් මොකක් generate වෙන්නේ නැද්ද? Unrealized profit එකක් generate වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But they have 40% of these goods unsold. මේ 3,000න් 140ක් මෙයාලගේ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. මෙයාලගේ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් ඕකේ ASCII තියෙන මොකක් අයින් කරන්න ඕනද? unrealized profit එක හොයලා අපි අයින් කරන්න ඕන. මේ මෙයා ගාව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන profit එක හොයලා අපි අයින් කරන්න ඕන. That is what we called unrealized profit. කීයක profit එකක් හිර වෙලා ඇද්ද? මෙයා ගාව ඉතුරු වෙච්ච තොගේ. How they have priced this? How they have set the selling price? Jerry sets the selling price at a markup of 25% on cost. 20, I don't know whether you can see, 25% on cost. 25% on cost. 25% on cost. Right. Okay. 25% on cost. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් profit එක ගන්න කොහොමද? selling price එකෙන් cost එක අඩු කරාට පස්සේ අපිට එන්නේ මොකද්ද? profit එක. මෙතන මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? 25% on cost. ඒ කියන්නේ cost එක 100 නම් if our cost figure is 100, what should be the profit? 25. ඕක නෑ කියන්නේ 25% on cost. If our cost is 100, profit should be 25. Our profit figure to be 25, what should be our selling price then? එහෙනම් අපේ selling price එක කීයක් වෙන්න ඕනද? It should be 125. Right? So here, we have inventory remaining with Tom this much. 3,000 into 40%, 1,200. I will have these figures here. Cost එක 120, sorry. Cost එක 100ක් වෙද්දි profit එක 25යි. Cost 25% on cost කියලා කියන්නේ මේක. It means our selling price should be 125. කොහොම වෙලාවෙ profit එක 25ක් එන්නේ නා. Right. So here this is the inventory remaining with Tom at the year end. මේ intercompany sales වලින් මෙන්න මෙච්චරක තොගයක් මෙයා ගාව අවුරුද්ද අවසානයේ ඉතුරු වෙලා. එහෙනම් මෙයාගේ ASCII තියෙන profit value එක හොයන්න මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕන? මේකේ විදියට නම් 125ක sale එකක් කරොතින් ඒක ඇතුලේ කීයක profit එකක් තියෙනවද? 25ක profit එකක් තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් 1200ක sale එකක් ඇතුලේ කීයක profit එකක් ඇද්ද? If a sale worth of 125 includes 25 worth of profit, then what is the profit figure included in the remaining stock. කීයක් එනවද? 1200 වැඩි කරනවා 25න් බෙදනවා 125න් 240. 240. This whole 240 we cannot account. We need to consider what? The parents percentage. Parents percentage එක විතරයි අපිට count කරන්න පුළුවන්. කීයද? 240 into 30%. 240, sorry, Jerry PLC, right? Jerry PLC lage acquisition percentage check kiya the 25%. 240 into 25, 60. This is the amount we need to pass the double entry. On no amount eකට තමයි අපි double entry pass කරන්න ඕන. Right, yes. Unrealized profit is 250. The parents percentage of this is 60. It means 25% of it. So this is the amount we need to pass the double entry. So how should be the double entry here? Now May හැටට then double entry pass කරන්න ඕන කොහොමද? How should be the double entry here? How should be the double entry? Retained earnings debit, inventory credit. Yes, right? Retained earnings debit, inventory credit. Tom PLC like inventory copy consider කරලා තියෙන. In this balance sheet, see, we have considered the parent company figures. It means this 60 is included within this 2000. මේ 2000 ඇතුලේ අර 60 මොකක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? ඇතුළත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් එයා මෙතනින් අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. It means what? Inventory account credit and retained earnings need to be debited. Retained earnings debit. Debit කරන්න මොකද කරන්න ඕන? We need to deduct 60. This is unrealized profit. Retained earning account debit, inventory account credit 60. Unrealized profit. Retained earning debit, inventory account credit. That is the treatment for point number 5. Point number 6. Tom has sold goods to Garfield during the current financial year amounting to 1,000, and 25% of these goods were with Garfield at the year end. 1000ක සේල් කරලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි ඒ සේල් කරපු එකේ මොකක් වෙලාද? 125ක තොගයක් ඉතුරු වෙලා. එහෙනම් එතන මොකක් තියෙනවද? Unrealized profit එකක් ඇති. That one we need to find and eliminate. Tom sets the selling price at a margin of 20% on selling price. Right. Tom has sold to Garfield. මෙතනින් ගන්න. Tom has sold to Garfield. Sale worth of 1,000. Their pricing policy is what? 20% on selling price. 20% on selling price. Right? So we need to calculate the unrealized profit. Out of this 1,000, 25% stock was there at the year end. මේ 10න් 125ක තොගයක් අවුරුද්ද අවසානයේ මෙයාලා ගාව තියෙනවා. 20% on selling price. 20% on selling price. එතකොට අපේ එක කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? Selling price, cost, profit. මේ කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? 20% on selling price. ඒ කියන්නේ selling price එක 100 නම් if our selling price is 100, profit should be 20. It means the cost is 80. එහෙනම් 100ක selling price වෙච්ච 100ක sale එකක් ඇතුලේ කීයක profit තියෙනවද? 25ක not 25, right? 20ක profit තියෙනවා. 100ක sale එකක් ඇතුලේ 20ක profit තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ inventory එක ඇතුලේ කීයක profit ඇද්ද? 100ක sale එකක් ඇතුලේ 20ක profit තියෙනවා නම් මෙන්න මේ remaining stock එක ඇතුලේ කීයක profit ඇද්ද? What should be the amount? 50. Yes, right? 50. But we cannot account for this 50. We need to consider the acquisition percentage. So we have acquired 30% of this company. It means what is the amount we need to pass double entry? 50. මේ 15ට තමයි අපි double entry pass කරන්න ඕන. What should be the double entry here? මෙතන double entry වෙන්න ඕන කොහොමද? මෙතන profit එක හොයලා තියෙන්නේ කවුද? Tom has earned the profit. Tom PLC එක තමයි profit එක හොයලා තියෙන්නේ. යාතල තමයි sale එක කරේ. එහෙනම් retained earnings වලින් එකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? අඩු වෙන්න ඕනද? Retained earning account need to be debited. Retained earnings debit 50. Unrealized profit. Right. Unrealized profit. I'd say G. මෙතන පැහැදිලි වෙන්න මම දාන්නම් Jerry PLC එකේ sale එක කියලා. Here also right? Retained earnings account debit, where to credit? Credit කරන්නේ කොහාටද? Yes, investment in associate account credit. Investment in associate account credit. Unrealized profit 50. එතකොට බලන්න associate එක parent company එකට sale කරලා unrealized profit එකක් එද්දි කොහොමද කරේ? Retained earnings debit, inventory account credit. Okay, අනිත් පැත්ත වෙද්දි ඒ කියන්නේ parent company එක associate එකට sell කරලා එතනින් unrealized profit එකක් එද්දි කොහොමද කරන්නේ? Retained earnings debit, investment in associate account credit. Yes, correct. Right, so that is point number 6. Point number 6. Last one. At the year end, it was revealed that the investment in Garfield PLC was impaired by 100. Right? Investment in Garfield PLC. එතකොට අපි එයාලගේ කරපු investment එක තමයි impair වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. The value is 100. So here we do not need to consider the parents percentage only. අපි මෙතනදී parents percentage එක විතරක් consider කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඇයි? Investment in Garfield PLC was impaired. අපිට කෙලින්ම කියනවා investment එක මෙන්න මේ කරපු investment එක තමයි impair වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. So how can we treat this amount then? නම් මේ 100ට අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? investment එක impair වෙලා නම් investment in associate account එකේ balance එක මොකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? goodwill impairment වල මොකද්ද කරේ? When the goodwill is impaired, we have credited the goodwill account. Like that way, if our investment in associate has been impaired, what we need to do? We need to credit the investment in associate account. Where to debit? Retained earnings debit. Right? So here, Retained earnings need to be debited by 100. This is impairment. Right? Retained earnings debit 100. Where to credit? Investment in associate. Impairment. Investment in associate account credit 100. Correct. Retained earnings debit 100. Associate account credit 100. So that is the last additional information. So are we done with the sum? Gani verayda? Now what we need to consider? Tawa monawada adu? Monawada adu? What else we need to do? We need to consider the post acquisition amounts, right? Post acquisition amounts ටික අපි consider කරන්න ඕන. So I will have it in red here. So these net assets were there as at which date? As at 31st March 2017. මෙන්න මේ කියන net assets මෙයාලා ගාව තිබ්බේ කවද වෙද්දිද? 31st March 2017. Now, what are the net assets amount as at 31st March 2019? අපි මේ consolidated statement of financial position නැත්නම් consolidated balance sheet එක හදන දවස වෙද්දී මෙයාලගේ net assets දැන් කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ? Jerry PLC stated capital 13,750, right? I will say as at 31st March 2019, this is 13,750 change. There is no any change with regards to stated capital amount. Retained earnings 3,100. 3,100. What is the change? Acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ retained earnings කීයකින් වැඩි වෙලාද? Now we have retained earnings worth of 3,100. But as at the acquisition date, we had only 1,250. It means there is a change of 1,850. Revaluation reserve. Now we have revaluation reserve worth of 1,000. But as at the acquisition date, we had only 400. It means there is a change of 600. General reserves. Now we have 900. මේ figures ගන්න මේ balance sheet එකෙන් අපි consolidated balance sheet එක හදන දවස වෙද්දී මෙයාලගේ figures කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ? acquire කරගන්න දවස වෙද්දී කීයද තිබ්බේ? change එක කීයද? That is what we are considering here. Right. Here, retained earnings has been increased by 1,850. Retained earnings අපි acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ මෙන්න මේ ඉච්චර ගානකින් වැඩි වෙලා. Making අපිට කීයක් විතරද accounts තියාගන්න පුළුවන්? What is our acquisition percentage? 25%. Right? 25%. So 1,850 into 25%. ඔය 1,850න් 125ක් අපි accounts තියන්න ඕන. It means 462.5. මොකද්ද ඔය 462.5 කියලා කියන්නේ? What is that 462.5? That is our profit share. Right? With profit share, we need to debit investment in associate. I will say PS profit share. Debit investment in associate 462.5. Credit to retained earnings 462.5. profit share of J. Yes, right. That is the post-acquisition profit. And out of that, we need to account for our profit share. Okay, profit share copy accounts due. You can acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ 1850ක profit හොයලා තියෙනවා. ඔය 1850න් 125ක් කියලා කියන්නේ 462.5. ඒක තමයි අපේ profit share එක. Right? We need to debit the investment in associate account and credit to retained earnings account. This one, 600. After the acquisition, the revaluation reserve value has gone up by 600. Out of this 600, we need to account for 25%. Where 600 within 25% of the accounts the owner, 150. So how can we pass an entry for that 150? Investment in investment in associate කතා කරද්දී කිව්වා profit for the year plus changes in reserves. ඔය දෙකේම අපි consider කරන්න ඕන මොකද්ද? Parents percentage එක. Profit එකෙන් parents percentage එක තමයි මේ consider කරේ. මේව මොනවද? Changes in reserves. See, revaluation reserve has gone up by 600. General reserve has gone up by 100. Out of this, we need to account for 25%. First, we will consider revaluation reserve. 25% out of this means 150. That one, we need to debit to our investment in associate account. Where to credit? What the credit when? Which account? Revaluation reserve account credit. Right? Investment in associate account take a debit kara. Where to credit? Revaluation reserve account here. Revaluation reserve account credit 150. Post acquisition. Post acquisition of this is Jerry PLC. Investment in associate account debit. Revaluation reserve account credit. 25% out of this 100. 25. What we need to do? Investment in associate account debit. General reserve account credit. Investment in associate account debit. General reserve account credit. Post acquisition of J. Post acquisition of J. How we account this net assets if it decreases? If it decreases, simply the other way around, right? Make him a reverse figure. If this has gone down to 200, it means, right, it is a negative change of 200. Then we need to pass the reverse entry of this. Okay, manik path. Okay. So that is with regard to post-acquisition amounts of Jerry PLC. Jerry PLC like post-acquisition amounts tika tamai api oya entries pass kare. Like that way, we need to do the same for the Garfield PLC as well. So I will quickly go through that. Garfield PLC stated capital. I will directly take the change amount, right? Stated capital acquire කරගනිද්දිත් 8000යි අද වෙද්දිත් 8000යි change එකක් නැහැ. Retained earnings acquire කරගනිද්දි 750යි. Retained earnings as at the balance sheet date 1250. 1250, it means it has gone up by how much? 750 තිබ්බ එක 1250ක් වෙලා කීයකින් වැඩි වෙලාද? 500. It has gone up by 500. Revaluation reserve, now it is 1000. Earlier we had only 250. It means it has gone up by 750. General reserves, see, as at the acquisition date we had 500. Now also we are having 500. Therefore, there is no any change. Of these figures, we need to consider what percentages? At 30%. But here, do we need to account for this? මෙයාව අපි account කරන්න ඕනද? ආයේ? No, why? We have already accounted that one here. Profit share එක අපි දැනටමත් accounts තියලා තියෙනවා. Right? දැන් බලයි මෙතන 500යි 500න් 130ක් කියලා කියන්නේ 150යි කොහොමද මෙතන 210ක් ආවි කියලා. කොහොමද මෙයා ආවි? කොහොමද ආවි? Dividend declare කරලා තිබ්බා කීයක්ද? 200ක්. ඒ 200ත් එක්ක 700යි. ඒ 700න් 130 තමයි 210 විදිහට අපි අරගෙන ආවේ. Dividend we have separately accounted. Dividend අපි වෙනම උතනින් receivable account එකකට අරන් ගියා. Right. So we need to account only for 30% of this 750. Revaluation reserve 750කින් වැඩි වෙලා 30% of this 750 කීයද? 225. How can we account for that one? Investment in associate account, debit 225. Revaluation reserve account, credit 225. Revaluation reserve account, credit 225. This is post acquisition of Garfield G. Post acquisition of revaluation reserve 225. Investment in associate account, debit. Revaluation reserve account, credit. So that is all what we need to do, and then we need to take the balance of these accounts. මෙතන කීයක් එනවද මේ investment in associate account එකේ balance එක? 462.5 plus 150 plus 25 minus 250. Brought forward balance එක කීයද? 7,887.5. Like that way here. What is the brought forward balance? 2,500 plus 350 plus 210 plus 225 minus 60 minus 15 minus 100. 3,110. Investment in associate, balance of Jerry 7,000 here. Sorry, I got disconnected. Okay, here investment in associate Garfield balance was 3,110. PPE, the group figure is also 15,000 since there are no any adjustments. Inventory 2,000 minus 60, 9,940. Trade receivables 1,800. Dividend receivable should be the group balance cash. So our total